Hello, RZL here. I just want to make a guide on anyone trying to pass to my defense. Um, so generally, I guess the things I want to cover are what's kind of required, what's nice to have, um, what's good in which seasons, so on and so forth. Um, as well as some other options than what I specifically run. So first things first is you're going to need to have Freyr. For anima season, there's really no other option. So if you don't have Freyr, unfortunately, you can't run anima season RZL pasta. Now the next thing is duo Sigurds. My duo Sigurd's quite invested. Yours does not need to be this invested. The reason that you want duo Sigurd is because this team becomes a forced turn 1 if that's a ranged cav. Outside of fence.
Close your eyes. I'll do as instructed, without a doubt.
Okay, so this is fence turn. Then this will cause a dance trap, so Sigurd will dance Zelgius, and then Robin will rally Sigurd. This can also be this cav here. Whoever's here can also rally Sigurd if you're not running Robin. And it will become a force turn 1. So generally speaking, losing range from not running a ranged cav dancer is the worst case scenario. Duo Sigurd is the best ranged cav dancer for this team. However, if you have Hatari Azura and other similar units, they will at least allow this to happen, so you should run those. If now on to why I'm running Seros and what else you can run. Seros is only actually the best option if you are running Young Robin. If you're not running Young Robin, then do not run Seros. You have to run Mira instead, or some other ranged dancer, or some other dancer, but Mira is in season and a great dancer, so please run her. Some other flying dancer, sorry. So Robin's self-dance in her preference weapon allows this to happen. If that self-dance didn't happen, then I wouldn't be able to run Seros. So maybe this would be a more traditional RZL pasta, where you have Mira dancing the other range cav here when they bait in either of these lanes. And this is still a very powerful defense. I really like Igreen on these types of defenses in Anima season because she can provide Kanto control on this space here, which is the most important space to provide Kanto control, as this is where most of the Kanto is happening. However, if you just run regular ranged cav instead of a near save, you can run something like Kanto control Gatekeeper or Kanto control Nurgle as another nuke, and run guidance on Mira so that Nurgle can warp and overlap for most of the range, not all of it quite. Generally speaking, if you're running Sanaki, you want some form of debuff support, whether it's Sanaki's own ploy, Sigurd's ploy, some form of chills, something. to provide debuffs somewhere so that Sonic can do damage. However, it's also really nice for basically any nuke because exposure is a free 10 damage. And that stacks with AoEs, so AoEs do an extra 10 damage, and then the actual hit does 10 damage. So it's really good there too. Now for saves, if you're running a near save, this is less of an issue. But if you're running a team like this where there's only the far save, you need to make sure that your far save can handle some reasonable Winter Edelgards.
Come along. Why not?
So I just kind of test with mine.
I will deliver.
And this is why my Zugus's build is dual close and attack defense unity, which is to beat Wedelgard as hard as possible. How well they far save range units is usually less important. If you're running Young Robin, make sure to remove the assists on Agreen and Sonicy, and make sure that Agreen has a higher stat total than this dancer here, and they get buffed for the same amount of stats. So for example here, I wouldn't be able to run in rally attack speed on Robin because Sigurd would get buffed for more stats. So Robin will choose to rally Sigurd instead of rallying Agreen. So that's something to be wary of. If you're not running Robin, then you run a rally on Sonicy or Agreen here. Another thing to watch out for is with the Cav in Sonicy and Agreen spaces, you ideally don't want to have Kanto or to have Kanto rem that's flat, so that if they move 3 spaces, they don't have any Kanto. So Cavs like Yunaka or Kaguro don't work very well here. I think that's the gist of Anima Season RZL Pasta. The main reason for Saros over any other mythic here is that she gives a bunch of stats so that Zelgius can live Winter Edelgard easier, Freyr can live Winter Edelgard easier, Sonicy can run Miracle, a bunch of other interesting techs. However, you have to run Mira if you're not running young female Robin. Now on to some requirements for Dark Season. When Dark Season, you have to be less choosy because your options are a lot more limited because Dark Mythics just kind of suck. I have this build for Kvasir who's quite a strong Cav if she's built like this. However, if she's not built like this, she's significantly worse. I'd consider this investment if you have access to it, but it's a seasonal weapon and it was only at once. So it's pretty rare fodder. A requirement on this team is instead of Freyr, you have to run Midori, Safi, or I guess you can run off-season Freyr, and those are your only options. I like Midori because she can live Winter Edelgard and kind of make things awkward for her in the backline. It's she's probably the strongest option of the 3. Now here I'm running a 3rd nuke instead of something like Gatekeeper to close out matches against Ike and other units that the double red tomes don't do so well against. Triandra herself is used over, or Toon Triandra is used over regular Triandra because Attuned Triandra's chip damage is so nice, and regular Triandra being a ranged unit means that she's easier to bait out, which can lead to some problems. Most notably, not getting Nurgle into play. However, that's kind of mainly it for Dark Season, is that you have less options, so you should run a simpler team. Other things to be wary of is if you do not have Midori or Safi, then you're opening yourself up to Milla, who can stop this defense team really hard. And a bunch of other annoying effects. If you're using Nurgle specifically, you want to be able to get 3 charges before Essence Drain. If you don't, though, it's not that big of a deal. I'm running a different Zelgius build because Zelgius cannot handle Firestorm Dance, Winter Edelgard with 1 blessing, so I unfortunately have to go the route of just beating the other Winter Edelgards harder. However, it's still important that you make your save as best against Winter Edelgard as possible, while still being an okay fire save. They don't have to be the best fire save against all the matchups, because fire save matchups are pretty brutal. It's hard to live Sonaki, it's hard to live Leon, it's hard to live all those units, especially AoEs. Just to give a rundown of, oops, went in wrong season. Just to give a rundown of how this defense team works is
The unknown beckons. I'm off. Good morning. Am I needed?
is essentially this. The defense team gets baited by one of these cavs, or they both get baited up here. And either Soniki can kill, or Kvaster can kill, or Kvaster can suicide and steals things with Essence Drain. Nurgle is quite a powerful unit on this team. I would highly recommend him. My highest recommendations are Midori and Nurgle. The Cavs are a little bit more flexible. You probably want to run Kvaster because no 7-slot Dark Defense Mythics are that good here other than her. So even if you don't have this build, you're probably forced into running her. She can at least suicide with Essence Drain or something and maybe accomplish something. Her base weapon has some priority with the Panic Smoke effects. So potentially she attacks first at least. Either way, I would highly recommend this defense team if you're looking for something that is pretty consistent. It doesn't give the most interesting replays, but it should be fairly consistent.
I agree.
Thank you, Asker. And yeah, I hope this helps.